Hi there, this is Matt with State of Flex here with a review for Godzilla, King of the Monsters, 2019. This is essentially a American version of Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All-Out Attack. Uh, in a lot of respects. It's nowhere near as good or well executed, but it does bring on the same monster mayhem and energy that that film had, at least when it comes to the monster battles, when the monsters are on screen. This film kind of suffers when the film kind of falls to the human characters, and I think this is a consistent criticism of the American Godzilla movies, is the 1998 movie had characters nobody liked. It was a weird sitcom-y vibe, and then with like Jurassic Park monsters, and the movie just kind of fell flat. Godzilla 2014, I think everybody liked the Bryan Cranston stuff when it was him pursuing this monster hunting agency or whatever, that monsters existed, but then he's taken out of the movie and you follow kind of boring army guy. And that was where that criticism could be heavily levied against that movie, and this movie kind of carries that tradition. I like Kyle Chandler's character a little more than I liked the dad character in the army guy in Godzilla 2014, but his relationship with his wife, his daughter, the Charles Dance character, is all just so convoluted, and like, to the film's benefit, it is really well cast. Along with the 2014 movie, I might add. Everybody's on point. Like, Kyle Chandler is great in this. Vera Farmiga is always a delight. Millie Bobby Brown gets her screen debut in a feature film, theatrical release anyway, in this movie, and she gets to a couple scenes to really like cut her chops for like the film world to see what she's capable of, that didn't watch Stranger Things, which I haven't. I should watch that show. It's got Bradley Whitmore. Like, he's always the most perfect actor in the room whenever he is present. And Ken Watanabe returns not Sally Field, Sally, oh, her name escapes me, I'm sorry, the woman from Shape of Water, reprising her role from the 2014 Godzilla. Dr. Serizawa really helps bolster this movie, and he is given the narrative trajectory that he probably should have had to some extent in Godzilla 2014, or at least that I was expecting. Again, it came down to expectations, folks, with my feel on that first film. You put Dr. Serizawa in there, his character is so present and viable in the experience of watching Gojira 1954 that I thought, having him in the 2014 one, I knew exactly what his narrative was going to be, and that wasn't it. Here we get the payoff to what that narrative setup is, but kind of an inversion of it, and that was kind of neat. But the movie, I'm kind of grasping at straws. Like, I watched it a day ago, and it is somewhat forgettable. Like, the monster battles are cool, but that's kind of all it is a lot of cool moments strung together by a manufactured drama that really doubles the fuck down on the whole alpha beta wolf relationship kind of thing that is so outdated and so not accurate scientifically that, like, why are we doing this, guys? It's 2019, now it's 5 years on, and I'm like, Jesus. But at the time when I saw it, I was like, well, at the very least it was an improvement over the 2014. Having just rewatched 2014 and this one back to back, I don't think it is. And like, it's well directed. They just didn't take the time to make particularly compelling characters. And that's the biggest flaw, right? The only reason the Serizawa stuff works is because it tickles the membranes that remember how that affected me when I watched the original Godzilla. I tell a story of how I truly experienced film death for the first time with the death of Dr. Serizawa in that first movie. So this kind of tickles those memory feelers, and what I'm left with is cool Godzilla action, just done in super impressive CG, or moderately impressive CG. Hey, you know what? At the very least, it's better lit than the previous movie. That said, Godzilla's still a little too big for my tastes. He just doesn't look like he should. He doesn't have the mobility that I think Godzilla needs. Ghidorah looks pretty fantastic. No real notes there. Imposing, threatening. I dig it. Rodan, what they did with Rodan was neat. I love the constant spewing and moving of the lava and magma and stuff all around him. That was pretty neat. Mothra, I kind of felt like Mothra was just thrown in this movie as an afterthought. Like the filmmaker seems to have no real reverence for that character particularly, and it kind of showed. The visual redesign of Mothra was kind of unimpressive. We never get the glorious shot of her with her wings open, like fully. Like you kind of get hints of it, but she should have had her like big moment, and that's just not really present. And sure, she comes in, and this movie kind of, as much as it echoes Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack, it also really echoes, what was that, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2 from the Heisei era, as well as Godzilla versus Destroya, where Godzilla is the time bomb that's about to blow. And I don't know, it kind of works, but at the same time, I was sitting there thinking, I really liked Godzilla vs. Destroya, I should give that one a second go. And when you're watching what's essentially the American remake of that same movie, you should not be having those thoughts. You should feel like it really works organically in this movie and didn't really feel that way. So, well, originally I thought it was an improvement over the 2014 one. I no longer feel that. I don't think it's bad, but I think it's somewhat middling. So I give it 2.5 out of 4 stars. It's okay. It's fine. It serves its purpose. On a good day, this might sit a little better, and it might be a 3-star movie for me. But I don't know. That said, I'm really curious to see what I have thought about Godzilla vs. Kong. One of the very first reviews, within the first 10 reviews that I did on this channel, was the theatrical release of Godzilla vs. Kong, and I have not watched it since that day. And I loved that movie. I thought it was the best of the Monsterverse movies at the time. I'm curious to see where I land with that one, just 2 years down the pipeline. My opinions changed so much with 2014, and to some extent this movie based on how I felt about that one. So I'm really curious to see how how Godzilla vs. Kong goes. But let me know what you thought of Godzilla, King of the Monsters, in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and peace.